Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends. It's the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky, and with me as always are my co-hosts, my good friends, my fiends, Chuck Caputo, Sherry Caputo, and Eddie Caputo. Eddie Guevara.
No, he's not a Caputo.
God love
All Caputos. Yeah, everyone's a Caputo today.
Right. That's right. Hello,
So,
everybody.
welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. Everybody out there in podcast land, welcome once again to House of the Unusual. We thank you for joining us on whatever podcast platform you're listening. Also, please subscribe to us, and hey, it'd be real cool if you gave us a nice review. That would be really, really cool of you. Just saying, just throwing it out there. It'd be really cool. All right. So anyways, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. We're going to get into a little bit of sci-fi and some what ifs and all that, and what we think sci-fi worlds, religions, people, might look like. Well, not really sci-fi, but like kind of like alien world. Say if we were to crash land on an alien planet, what do we think? What do we think we would see on there? What would be? What would these races look like? What would their religions look like? Their food? Would they have bars? What about sporting events? Would they have any type of different sporting events that you could think of? So if you've been a sci-fi fan or you've read any type of sci-fi from 30s, 40s, 50s, at that time it was real big. All these up and coming authors, guys like Asimov, they were all kind of given their interpretation of these alien planets, alien worlds, future. And it was kind of everywhere. It was, a sci-fi craze. The pulp magazines and the movies just had this stuff all over the place. And they were really going crazy with their imagination on what they thought this stuff will look like. I tell you what, we're going to get a little bit into that later. But first, I want to see how Chuck Cheri and Eddie is doing. And then I'll tell you a little bit what's going on with me. And then we'll get into our conversation. So I'm going to turn it over to Chuck and Sherry. What's new? What's up?
All right. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, we've been keeping busy, doing a lot of traveling and so forth, and going to the storage unit. We're going to go back tomorrow. We're going to work on a couple of things. We've been filming some Chuck's Corners. We did watch a movie we wanted to put out there. Sherry's one of her favorite movies is The Goon from the Goon from the Black Lagoon. we watched the Return of the Creature.
Revenge of the Creature.
Oh, Revenge of the Creature. That's right. Yeah, from 1955. It was a sequel.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
Did you guys see that before?
Oh, yeah. Excellent movie. Very excellent.
Yeah, we liked it a lot.
Fantastic. Lori Nelson did a good job in there, and John Agar.
Yeah.
I was surprised to find out John Agar was married to Shirley Temple in real life briefly. Yeah, for maybe a couple of years or something. I don't know exactly how long, but I'll tell you, it was a good movie.
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What's up, Eddie? Did you have something to input on that 1955 great movie?
Isn't it the one that Clint Eastwood made its first appearance in?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, uncredited. I thought it was him, and I told Sherry, I think that's Clint Eastwood, and she Googled it, and yes, it was.
It was. Yeah,
That's the first appearance on television for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the lab technician in it, and it's kind of, we look at it with today's eyes, and we're like, how did Clint Eastwood not get a credit in this movie?
Exactly.
And hey, it's his first role. Even Clint Eastwood had to pay his dues.
Exactly.
He had to pay his dues. Yeah. I think a rat was misplaced. There was 4 rats in the in the enclosure, and he said one of them's missing. I think it's in the cat's stomach, and then it turned out in his pocket. So kind of neat.
I also want to put in. We also actually, when I went down to St. Augustine, I've been with a couple of people, and one of our guests actually is on right now. His name is Bill Horn. Introduce yourself, Bill.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you today. So,
hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Bill.
All right. So go ahead, Joe.
All right, Chuck and Sherry, what else do you guys have going on? Any shows? Any good walks in the woods or the cemetery?
Yeah, we took our son's dog with 2.6 miles we walked.
Yeah,
So
today
it was a pretty
with our
good.
daughter-in-law.
It was a pretty good walk. It was a little
Yeah.
windy out there, but it's nice.
And then we started, we've been going to the gym, doing some weights and things like that. And what else? Oh, Friday evening we have a planned date for us. We're gonna go. I don't know if you've heard of Zillionople, Joe, being in Ohio. It's up
No.
towards Butler. It's like north of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And they have a theater called the Strand, and they're putting on is it I guess a play or musical?
It's a musical. Yeah.
Yeah, the Godspell. So we got tickets and we're going to have dinner and go there, and it'll be a nice little evening.
Yeah, I look
Oh,
forward.
that sounds fun. Whose romantic idea was that? I know it wasn't Chuck's.
It was Chuck's.
It was mine.
Was it Chuck's, really?
Yeah.
He saw that they were playing there. He loves Godspell. So I said, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings back memories when I was a kid. And,
Yeah.
well, not really, maybe
No,
13, 14 years.
teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I said, let's go see this, Sherry. And she looked up a place to eat. So that'll
There's
be
plenty of places up there on
Yeah.
Main Street. So it'll be fun.
I didn't know you were a kid once, Chuck.
yeah.
Still,
Yeah, we thought you were born with the beard and a magic wand in your
Yeah,
hand.
there you go.
All right.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like a good time. Hey, Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you. And since this is your first time on, I'm putting you on the spot, brother. Give us a little bit about yourself. Let everyone know, what you're about, some of the stuff that you enjoy, because, we're all about, having fun on here and talking about our passions and everything. So give us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, it's again, it's a pleasure to be here. I think I met Eddie down in Florida, and we talked a little bit, and so we glad to be on here with you guys today again. But yeah, our life, I've done a lot of things in our life. I think been a lot of places, had the privilege to travel all over the world, and just always seeking the next thing, the greatest thing, and and I think what really changed my life, I think, and got me started on the road that where I am now is, I'm from North Carolina, and so kind of grew up in it was talk about religion. I'm not a religious person, because religion, I think, is what man made up. And, but I do believe in God. I believe there's one true God. I believe there's a lot of gods. But what changed my life, I think, back in 98, my dad passed away, and I was, we were like best friends. We were like best buds. And I was going through a hard time, and it kind of brought up, not really following God or anything like that. But what my experiences in church and around different religions, I didn't really care for it, because I just seen a lot of other things that man was doing and man did, and it wasn't a lot of God involved in it. And so, but one day I was riding in my pickup truck, and I was just caught crying out in a hurting place, and I said, God, look, if you're real, and I believe you are, I need you to show me. And I didn't hear an audible voice, but I said, I believe God speaks to a man's heart, not his head. We're messed up in the head. But,
Oh yeah, we all are.
yeah. But anyway, I heard it was like I said, it wasn't, like I'm talking to you now, but it was loud in me and inside of me. And he said, and I said, if you're real, and he said, well, I am. And he said, your dad's with me now.
Amen.
And he said, I want that relationship that you had with him. And so I just got to thinking about that. And what happened was, I got to thinking of it, and I thought, well, I talked to my dad every day. I spent time with him. I either seen him, and we had a wonderful relationship. I had that kind of relationship with my dad. And so I see, I started spending more time, talking to God, reading his word, and more on a personal thing. And so it became a personal thing to me, not just what man was saying, not what man said I had to do, but it developed a relationship with him, and it started changing my life. And I think that, and the next thing, this is the crazy part. this is the crazy part.
Okay.
And he one day, because my wife and I, we had our two businesses. We were working 90 hours a week. We were faithful people, good people, but I was riding down the road. There was something missing. There was still something missing. And he told me to buy a motorcycle. And I said, "What? Okay." So,
Yeah, I wish someone would tell me to buy a motorcycle.
you know what? Just spend a little time with God. He'll tell you. So anyway, I came home and I told my wife, I said, "Honey," I said, "you wouldn't believe this." I said, I was praying today and the Lord told me to buy a motorcycle. And she's such a wonderful lady. She said, "Well, if he told you to do it, then I would do it."
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, I don't think my wife would fall for that one if I said, hey, honey, God told me to buy this
Yeah.
$50,000 comic book, Amazing Spider-Man. You know, she's like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I got a good wife. So anyway, so I did. And next thing I knew, I started having more freedom in my life and just going out enjoying myself more. And then, I found out, God liked for me to have a good time, but it was a good time with him. It was doing good things. And, from that time on, it just, my relationship just started blooming with him. And, I say there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of people out there. I heard you say something about other people on other planets and stuff. There may be, but we're here to be concerned about us on this planet, and we got enough going on here.
Yeah, but I'm definitely interested to hear your take here in a little bit about, like we talked about earlier. We mentioned we're gonna get into, other worlds, other religions on what we think it would be like, because we look at everything from our perspective here on Earth and our different world views on what it would look like. So, it's kind of interesting to, think about and, really think outside the box on what could be going on other planets, because it's not gonna, I'm sure, I guess just with, looking at percentages, there's probably some stuff that would overlap us, but a majority of it's going to be something, we never even thought of or could possibly conceive. But it's going to be, I'm very interested, and I think our audience out there is interested to hear too on what everybody, thinks that these aliens and alien worlds and their culture traditions would really look like. So yeah, that's a great story, and I can't wait to hear, Bill, what you have to say about that and kind of what you think about it and everything, especially being a newcomer on here, because we've all, we've been talking for years and we all kind of, know each other a little bit and how we think. So it's interesting to have somebody new come on and see how they think as well.
Yeah.
So, but before we get into that conversation, I'm going to turn it over to Eddie and see what's new at House of the Unusual proper. So Eddie, take it away.
Well, as you could see, I actually uploaded a video that aired this past Monday, and it's about 43 minutes long, but I uncovered my mysterious monster movie Super 8 millimeter collection. At the end, I actually found a projector that's about 60 something years old. It's a Kodak 8 millimeter regular projector, which I actually tried, and it actually worked. And to my surprise, the bulb was still working. So I was able to, that was an interesting take there. But anyway, that's new. I'm also going to upload a movie that has but this one's only about 5 or 6 minutes long. It has 4 books in there, and the oldest one is from 1602.
Oh my!
1602, and the other 3 I think are 1729. So we're talking about a book that's. I told my brother jokingly, I said, this one's got Columbus ashes in it, 1602. It was just not too far after that,
Right.
So anyway, I thought that's the newest thing in my area. And I'm also, Joe, I believe you have a special thing coming up again, Go Ship Times. I guess we're going to be launching that probably in the next week or so. You know that, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get that rolling here real soon. I'll have a video to you, hopefully right after this podcast here. I got a little idea for it, and I'll get it together. But all right, guys, let's dig into our conversation here. Oh, real quick, I just want to talk about, to let everybody know once again that, and just a reminder that Monster Bash is coming to the Marriott Pittsburgh North this summer, June 16th through the 18th. And I'm telling you what, I'm really excited about this lineup. It's going to be Bela Lugosi, kind of themed, a lot of his
Wow.
pictures and all that. But I tell you what, there are some excellent guests. We have Audrey Dalton, Charlotte Austin, Lynn Lugosi Sparks, Bela Lugosi's granddaughter. She'll be there to give a
Oh, wow.
talk. Daniel Roebuck from the Monsters and Dr. Shocker, which I'm really excited to meet him. I've never met him before, got an autograph or anything, but he's like one of us. He is a monster kid. He's a collector. He's a fan, and he's just a great guy from everything that I've known and read about him. So I can't wait to meet him. Beverly Washburn from Spider Baby. She's always a sweetheart to talk to. I mean, all these people they're just great people. They're like kind of going up to old friends when you talk to them. We got Tom Savini, Pamela Pierce, John Russo, Tom Weaver, Frank Delestrito, Greg Menk, and TV horror hosts Son of Ghoul and Draken Karita. So there is a huge lineup. They have, if you go to monsterbashnews.com, they also have the lineup for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's going to be, we got Friday's Mexican movie night. Saturday, weather permitting, they're going to do the outdoor movie on the big screen projector, which they start off with some cartoons and shorts and then dig into the horror movie or sci-fi movie. So it's going to be a great time too, and I'm very excited about this. So make sure you guys check it out. Just go to monsterbashnews.com. Also, we have on mymoviemonsters.com, it's your one-stop monster shop. Pre-orders, Castle of Frankenstein number 37. It is up for pre-order. Go on there, grab yours, or I mean, if you want to risk it, wait to see when it hits Barnes and Nobles, but it's going to sell out fast. And this is George Pell's Lost Time Machine issue. So a lot of cool stuff in there. Check them out at mymoviemonsters.com. All right, guys. So we know, we're all fans of sci-fi here. I believe. Well, we lost Chuck and Cheri. Anybody know where Chuck and Cheri went? Eddie, what'd you do with them?
They disappeared here.
Well, I guess if I see, this is future tense.
The aliens I think took them.
Yeah. Well, when they jump back on, I'm sure they'll jump right back in the conversation. But talking about early sci-fi authors, you have guys like Isaac Asimov, Robert Heinlein, Frank Herbert, Arthur C. Clarke, Ursula Le Guin,
Hey.
Aldous Huxley. Hey, there they are.
Hey, sorry, I don't know what
you guys
happened.
Disappeared.
Yeah.
I'm just going over a list of some very famous sci-fi authors that we're going to touch on. So along with them, we have Douglas Adams, Philip K. Dick, Larry Niven. So there's a ton out there. We could go on and on and on. And all of these authors, they had this vision of when they were writing of what they thought our future might look like. And some of that, very scarily has come true. Some of it, thankfully, hasn't. But they were giving us an idea of what they thought our future would look like, what they thought space exploration would look like, what they thought alien life would look like, or alien spaceships would look like. So when we were when people were reading those out of books or pulp magazines or watching the movies or TV shows, it started shaping their image too on what these alien worlds look like. Because prior to that, most people really didn't know, what these aliens or worlds might look like, and really probably didn't think of it until these sci-fi authors came on the scene and were given their interpretation of all this stuff. And as you're reading their words, you're also forming this image in your mind. So your imagination is starting to work, and you're starting to develop these different worlds and these different races and these different robots and futures and spaceships on what could possibly be. And you could probably sit 1 million people in a room and say, describe an alien to me. I want you to, from head to toe, describe it to me. And, once you go through all the paperwork, you're going to have 1 million different descriptions of what this alien being is going to look like. There's probably not going to be 2 that are the same or 3 that are the same. You're always going to have these differences on what people think. And, that's the same thing with anything when we're going to talk about, some alien planets, or, hey, what would religion look like to these aliens? Do they believe in a god or gods, or do they worship science, or do they worship, who knows what? What can we even think of? It might be something outside of our realm of knowledge. What kind of traditions do they have? We have Christmas, 4th of July, we have Halloween where we go trick or treating, and we pretty much dress up and beg people for candy, go home, eat a bunch of candy, and get sick as heck.
Oh yeah.
What kind of traditions or holidays do these alien worlds have, if any? We look at it because we're human beings, and just going, back in our past, we have we like traditions, we like ritual, we like doing things the same. So is it going to be that way for different alien cultures? And what do their houses look like? Do they have a living room, a kitchen, a bedroom area, a bathroom? Do they have a man cave where they could sit around a big screen TV and watch Chuck Caputo on there doing magic while they're pounding down a few brewskis? Who knows? You never know.
Shoot pool.
So do they have their own house of the unusual where they could go on there and grab cool gags and gifts and mail order items? And hey, you know what? Maybe there's a group of aliens out there in some far distant galaxy doing a podcast talking about the same things we're talking about. So
Yeah.
you never know. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think about it. And you know what, Chuck and Cheri, I'm going to put you guys on the spot for the first one. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about all this and what your interpretation is. And, is there a reason why you think this way? Was it from movies? Was it from reading? Or, maybe you just a creative person? So take it away.
All right. Well, I tell you what, my absolute favorite sci-fi writer of all time is H.G. Wells. And you know what? Due to one of his novels, The War of the Worlds, I think we're under the impression that if there is life on other planets, that these creatures resemble like an octopus. And isn't it kind of weird? Yeah, it kind of took on that facade. I love the Treehouse of Terror cartoons from The Simpsons. When they were abducted up on the craft, Marge goes, "Excuse me, octopus." I mean, it was hilarious. Oh my goodness, yeah. But yeah, and then he wrote another novel, The First Men in the Moon, where they were like gelatinous type of things or whatever. You know what though? But I would have to say, what my beliefs are that I do believe in one God. You know what? And so if these things do exist, then God created them. And that's from my perspective. Though, but I have an open mind. I mean, I've read literature on UFOs now for 30 years. I've read just about everything. I've watched just about everything.
Went to Kecksburg.
Yeah, we went to Kecksburg,
Yeah.
But you know what? There still isn't any proof.
No.
I mean, Jesse Marcel supposedly brought a piece of strange looking metal to his son, Jesse Marcel Jr. Said it was almost like a piece of tinfoil, but you can bounce a sledgehammer off it and everything. But I mean, why didn't he throw this in his closet or something and say, hey, the government doesn't know exactly, you know what I mean? Like how many pieces are out there or something like that. There's just, it just seems weird. There's no proof of anything, as of yet, but that's my spin. You know what? And I do love H.G. Wells. I've always loved his concepts of everything. And
unfortunately, I'm not too much of a sci-fi person, so I don't know. I just remember watching Lost in Space when I was younger.
Yeah, there you go.
And I mean, I really don't have too much thought about it right
now. Do you think, Trey? Do you think that maybe there's a what's it called? Say there's and I'll ask this for Cheri. Do you think that these alien planets? You arrive on an alien planet. Do you think that they have like holiday type things there? Is there anything that you think that they would celebrate, or is that more of like a Earth being type of thing?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm not that creative to think of some cool. I know that you could really come out with some cool ideas.
Oh, yeah. I think
on a play on words with the aliens and ring toss on the cone head. I don't know. I don't know what else?
I think these sea monkeys blew her mind pretty much.
Cheri, I would never have thought of what you just said. Ring tossing, honey. You got some interesting things, Cheri.
Now, you know what? I'm glad you said that, Chuck, because about sea monkeys, because I've always looked at some of these underwater creatures, such as sea monkeys, lobsters, squid, octopus, and it's even coming out more in science, more with the realms of octopus, that these, some of these might be alien creatures here from another world, or possibly seeded here by a meteor millions of years ago. So, I'm wondering, these sea monkeys, they might be looking at Cheri and going, who the heck is this alien lady up there that keeps giving us food?
You're right, because I fed them today too. I think you might be right, because they are a little peculiar looking.
Yeah, I mean, they're very interesting. And, Chuck, you touched on Treehouse of Horror and of kind of aliens looking like squid-like, or, octopus-like, having the tentacles and everything.
Yeah.
And they're that's what science is kind of saying about octopuses nowadays. The more that they're studying them, is that they have a conscience. They're very intelligent.
There you
go. And there's even some places that you can't eat or experiment on them, because they believe that they're very intelligent, and they have these pain receptors and everything. And you kind of look at them and you're going, this could be some alien that was seeded here from a meteor. And there was a really cool video years ago, and you could still find it online. This guy, there was a very small octopus that this guy found. I guess it was kind of washed up on shore, and it was very close to dying. I mean, it was almost lifeless. So the guy picked it up and he went into the ocean. He was only about a little bit more than ankle deep, maybe about like shin halfway up. Well, he set the octopus, real gently in the water, and it started coming back to life. And it started, you could see it breathing again. It started moving again. And just before just before the octopus went to swim off, because it kind of almost was startled when it awakened a little bit. But as it kind of like it moved away from the guy, maybe an inch or so, it stuck out its one tentacle and it touched the guy's toe, kind of like a thank you. And then it just swam away right after that. But it was really cool just to see that how this octopus kind of regained its consciousness and was almost like looking at the guy. And you could see, I mean, it's very deliberate. It stuck out its tentacle. It touched the guy's toe, for a couple of seconds, and then took off.
It probably tried to strangle him. I don't know.
No.
So, these sea monkeys, Cheri, you could be growing alien life form in your house, and they may take over for you one day.
Oh, my word. Yeah. I'd have to call ET, phone home.
Yeah, maybe they're going to try to phone home. This lady keeps feeding us and making videos about us.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So
there's tons of different stuff to think about, and we're gonna go around and talk more about this. But Bill, I want to hear what you have to say on any of this. And you've touched a lot on religion and all that, but I'd like to hear what you think on some of the stuff that we had talked about with maybe otherworldly beings or other landscapes, religions, traditions, etc. So take it away, Bill.
Yeah, for sure. Well, again, it's great to be with all you guys today, and I may tell my age a little bit here, but I remember I just hear you guys talking, and I remember the Buck Rogers. I remember the first Superman. And just going on with that Star Trek. All of those.
Oh yeah.
And it just seems like our minds are always taking us beyond, into the outer spaces. But as I was thinking, when you guys were talking about the octopus and the different creatures, you ever think about that the ones that I think that we created, in our mind, that none of them are as pretty or look as good as us?
Yeah, that's true.
That's true on that.
We always have to be at the top. Come on.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey,
right.
I think the way I look would be an insult to the octopus.
Well, I don't know. You sound great anyway, but I said the mind is a powerful thing, and and I'm with you, man. I believe that I believe there's a one true God. I do believe there, just from my study, again, not not religion, but just my personal study with, speaking to the Lord, personally, I think, he desires a relationship. And so, that's what, it's not, to me, it's not the these and the thous and what we must do. To me, it's just having a personal a conversation with him. He does. I believe that he created us. I believe he's the number one spirit, but I believe he's the Holy Spirit. I believe God is good. I don't believe he's bad. And I believe one thing he did give man was a choice. And I think that's the most powerful thing
Yes.
that on the earth. And I believe even, the book that was written, and a lot of people say, well, it was written by man. And it was written by man, but I believe it was written by man that was inspired by the Holy Spirit. And I think from the difference between what I've understood of my studies and reading is the difference between the Old and the New Testament is about 1,500 years apart. But the Old lines up with the New, and we talk about different covenants. And I said, why did we even have to have a covenant? And I think it's because, the first covenant God made with man was broken by man, not by God. And all he told them to do was one thing, and that's don't eat of this one place because I don't want you to experience from the one that, actually where the Bible tells where Lucifer, he was the greatest being in heaven. And then he was trying to overpower his creator, and that was his fall, and he fell, that's the story, in the Bible. And he fell, and then, he fell into the earth. And, and this is where, he reigns, and his domain is. And then when God told man not to eat of this one tree, I don't want you to think like this. I don't want you to think like this. And if you do, you're going to start thinking like this. He said, and that, I believe that's why God put him in a garden and protected him and to take care of it, because, he knew there was an evil one out there, but it wasn't, God didn't create the evil one. That person, because of his choice, created evil. And that's what's happening, I believe, in the world today. And so, I think we create our own images of what, we think or what we want to believe a lot of times. And this is where I think I was crying out to God, look, if you're real, I got to know, I got to see. And then the more I started spending that personal time with him, and he became real to me. And he proved to me, 'cause first of all, he said, he made us in his word. He said he made us spirit, because God's a spirit. He's a being. And then I say he made us a soul, and that's the way we live our life. And he would love for us to live it, our life the way that he chose for us, because we usually mess it up.
Yeah.
And then he made us a body which we live in on the earth. And so, I believe that when we receive him as in on that relationship basis that he wants us to be, then, I believe our spirit man is saved for eternity. I believe this body that we live in will perish one day, because I don't think too many people's got out any other way, and but I just look at it this way. I don't know everything, but I do know he does. And
That's right. Yeah.
My trust is in him. And I think the biggest thing for me is, because I know you guys don't know me, but I've done a lot of things in my lifetime. I spent, and these are things that I don't think of anymore, but, I spent 25 years in the martial arts. I spent years and years uh, uh, scuba diving. I seen those octopuses. I actually went down with them,
Oh, wow.
I mean, and done many, many things, but, it was always a dead end. There was always an inroad, and the joy never lasted. And I said, now I have everlasting joy because of my relationship with him. But it's something that I have to make a decision, a constant decision in my life to seek him, every day of my life. I don't wait till the end of the day. I start out my day, and I've gotten to the place where I want to include him in everything. And I mean, I have stories and stories and stories how he has just shows up everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife and I were at lunch at PF Chang's. You like PF Chang's? we went there today, and our waitress just said, I said, well, how are you? She said, well, I'm, I'm, and she was about crying. She said, I've been sick. This is the day, my first day back. And she said, "Do you?" And it's, I'm not having a good day. I said, "It's just people are so rude."
Aw.
And I said, "Just give me your hand." And I just and I actually just looked at her and I just spoke love into her life and how much God loved her, and it changed her. It changed her whole atmosphere. I said, "We didn't just come here to eat. We come here because God wanted to tell you how much He loved you today."
You know, I think if alien life forms ever came here and seen the way that we act and treat towards each other, I think they would jet out of here. There would be
right.
skid marks in the air with their spaceships. And they seen the way that we kill ourselves in war. They say, it ain't coming back to that place. That's like us driving into like a real bad area of town and there's shootings and fights all going off, and you're like, I'm not coming back here. These aliens, they're coming and they're seeing this. They're like, nope, skirt. And they're just skid marks. That's those aren't really chemtrails or whatever in the sky. Those are alien skid marks, man. Where they're booking it out of here. So yeah, those are.
It doesn't seem like there's too much intelligent life down here. No.
Yeah, definitely not. They're like, nope, we found the wrong place for intelligent life. So Eddie, I'm going to turn it over to you now. What's your take on all this? What do you think? I'm sure because you've grown up a lot with sci-fi. You're a huge fan, especially with Lost in Space. So what's your take on this?
Well, my take is kind of, it's interesting because of course when it comes to aliens and stuff, everybody has most likely the same idea, and from octopus to big, big head with a small body. My take is very simple. I do like when you're talking about sci-fi writers. I do like H.G. Wells. I gotta admit he's one of my favorite, but the one that I love the most is back in the 1920s. There was and now this was not really technically, it was more like in a scientific realm, more like reality / sci-fi. Science and Invention was a magazine. It was a pretty large magazine. It's like 13 inches by 11. It's huge. And they actually, back in 1926, I think it is, May of 26, they published one that had an automaton. Now, automatons were at that time they were robots, but they were called earlier in the era, it was called automatons. And they go back all the way down to Robert Houdin, who actually made a lot of them. But one of the basic things that I can say is that the automatons and all of that era were very, very, very interesting. But they had on their one page, they had one that was supposed to be like a soldier, and you see they had batons on his arms, like spinning batons. And then with all said and done, it was pretty good. And the because of that particular cover, a lot of sci-fi writers took that and it kind of became the original cover for robots taking over the world and all that stuff. One of the things that I'm going to tell you point blank is, and especially with the magazine, that's what I think. Now, when it comes to octopus, I'll mention something, how broad they are. There was an octopus. This happened, I think it was about a year or two ago. They had him inside in the bottom, in a basement somewhere. I think it was in a aquarium somewhere, and he actually sneaked out and he crawled up the stairs and he watched us. As long as nobody watched him, and he went back into the ocean. And they actually got that, I think, on video. And it's really kind of funny because you could see that the guy is working, or there's a guy in the floor, and the octopus is actually crawling away, sneaking away, not to be seen. So yeah, they are very bright. Now with alien life, I gotta admit, Joe, I gotta admit, all this stuff we're talking about is, I personally don't really believe there's any alien life. I mean, when you study science, let's say the way I do, say for example, scientifically, physically possible. One is, everybody that says they see something, there's always a lack of evidence. Okay, there's always a blurry photograph. That there are things out there. I think it's more like, if you're going to talk about like in religion, more like in the demonic realm. We see a lot of stuff, but I don't personally believe, because with everything that they showing on all the billions of planets out there, we've been searching and searching for years, sending out, all sorts of things. So I'm more like the one God type of thing. I think God just made us here on the earth for a purpose. And, and Jesus came to the earth as God to die for us. So I don't really personally believe in, I love the UFO cinema, but I think it's more UFOs are more probably government cover-ups, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always looked at it now. But I am a number one fan of UFOs. That they come from other planets, that's going to be, I don't believe in that part, Joe, to be honest. I don't, so far, doesn't say that God didn't make other people on other planets. I'm not saying that won't happen, but I just don't think that they're making contact with us.
It's very interesting because everybody has their own theory about this, and nobody's wrong and nobody's right because we don't have the evidence.
We don't know.
No.
I'm sure somebody out there knows, and but they're not telling they're not telling us. Yeah, they're not saying, hey, Chuck, Joe, Cheri, Eddie, here's the info. Hey, we're putting on our podcast. We don't have that info, but it's good to speculate. It's good to critically think and have our own opinions, and could be right, could be wrong. Nobody knows, but we got to keep all doors open and say, yeah, this is a possibility until we do get the proof. And my kind of thinking is we look at space and see how huge it is. I mean, space is just
vast,
enormous. And if I'm this all creator God, and I'm putting a life form on just one planet, I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna do this on other planets. I want to do some more different things. I want to be creative and see these different people and all that. Because I'm gonna tell you what, if I'm playing the role of God and I'm looking at all these people on Earth, I'm going, man, what the heck went wrong? They're down there killing themselves and killing the animals and everything else. Like, what the heck, and I'm going to leave them there and I'm going to start over somewhere else.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, what the heck was I? Was I drinking while I was doing this? I mean, it's just, you look at our state, but we have to keep it. I like to keep an open mind on every single avenue. I'm not a religious person or anything like that, but I like to hear those kind of, opinions on that and that kind of worldview because, I don't know, but I like to learn about it. And, I believe in alien planets, but I like to hear somebody that doesn't believe in it, because I want to hear what they have to say about it and what their worldview says about it. Everybody's different, and it's good to keep an open mind and an open view on all this stuff because it's fascinating to talk about. It's fascinating to read about and to watch all these movies. And it's like, sometimes we watch these movies and you're like, man, I wish I was there. Like, we always talk about Lost in Space, how cool or how, I guess, scary it would be to crash land on some, alien planet with our family and this, super cool robot, it would be a good time, but eventually it would start getting kind of scary because you don't know, can you breathe the atmosphere there? One of the big things in a lot of sci-fi when the aliens come to this world is they die because of, some type of bacteria or virus that we have, now we're going on to an alien world, what type of bacteria or virus or something we don't even know about will be there to infect us. What are we going to eat? Is there food there to drink? Food to eat? Is there anything to drink there? So it's a lot of stuff to think about. And what was that? There was that real cool movie a couple years ago with Matt Damon that came out where he was stranded on Mars and he started to grow his own food and everything. You guys remember the name of that?
No. I don't remember that.
I'm gonna try to look it up. Yeah, he was an astronaut. They got stranded on I believe it was Mars, and I'm gonna find it here. I know it's in his singer, but he got stranded on Mars there because their ship and all that kind of broke apart and everything, and he was the only one there, so he had to use his scientific knowledge to what's it called, to kind of make his own food, his own water, and all that stuff. So it was really it was really interesting. And he's an alien on this alien planet, and he's got to figure out how to live. So it was really cool. I'm trying to find the what the heck it was called, but I don't I can't run into it.
Was it The Martian? Was that it?
Yeah, The Martian. Yes, yeah, because they had a book about it. Yeah, that's it, The Martian.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. I never heard of it.
No, that's something different.
It was it came out. I just found it. Just came out in 2015.
Okay.
And it was based on the novel by Andy Weir called The Martian. And it's not a kind of like a fun, happy-go-lucky sci-fi. It's a very hard science fiction movie, but it's interesting and it's really cool to think about. Like, how scary would that be to be stuck on Mars or some other planet and not knowing if you're gonna eat, drink, go home?
Yeah.
Listen to House of the Unusual podcast. I mean, there's stuff that you need when you go.
That's right.
You know what that kind of sounds like, Joe? It sounds like Tom Hanks with his Castaway movie years ago. He was so desperate to talk to somebody. He was talking to the tennis ball, Spalding. Remember? And
Oh, when you guys mentioned that, did you guys ever see that movie Moon? Just Moon?
No.
Like the moon. That moon. It came out a few years ago. It basically, the entire film, 3 hours long, about is a guy in the moon sitting in a shuttle with absolutely nothing, going crazy. I thought it was the stupid. I mean, I actually didn't finish watching it. But
he probably had House of the Unusual podcast on repeat, and he's like, "Make it stop!"
It's kind of, they made remember. There was another movie that the guy was inside a phone booth, and the entire movie revolved around him being inside the phone booth.
Oh yeah.
I think I remember that.
Wasn't somebody trying to kill him or?
Yeah, something like that. But the whole movie was based like, it's funny how they can just do a movie that long. but if you look up Joe Moon, just the word moon, you'll see the movie I'm talking about. That movie I thought it was going to be something like Apollo 13. You know what? Even what was it? I think it was Apollo 18 or something like that. Where they go up there and they start seeing some alien buses. I forgot what it was, which is, in reality, they took that from an old 1950s or 1940s idea that there was somebody saw a space, like a bus in the opposite side of the moon, which in reality was not real. But I'm saying they based it on something like that, and they made the movie kind of stupid,
Yeah.
But even the one that this guy did, what's his name? That he has to explode the meteor in space. Willis. It's a Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Armageddon.
Armageddon. Yeah.
That movie. What I think it is with a lot of the movies, Joe, and especially modern day sci-fi, is they get a little stupid. I mean, when you look at some like Superman, the Returns, or the last one that they did of Superman. No, Superman, the Man of Steel, right? That was like a recent one. He punches a guy, and the guy goes through 3 or 4 cars. Now, in real life, you punch a person, the person hits a car, he's gonna blow up. He's not gonna go through the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they make him like, and I think they get carried away with the CGI, and it gets to the point where it turns into stupidity.
No, I agree.
And my brother, not my brother, I think my son goes to me, "You don't like?" I said, "Pops, to be honest with you, that last Superman that came out it was just stupid." Batman Begins and everything, Batman Begins, I think, is one of the best Batmans. I didn't like The Dark Knight at all. The first one part, and then the third part with Christian Bale was, one of the best I've ever seen and like. But I do not like movies that just carry the sci-fi realm to beyond. Like when you see,
Are you a fan of like 50s sci-fi movies?
Yes,
like,
I was just
easy stuff.
Well, not just 50s. Let's say the Clash of the Titans, even the remake of it. That's a very good film. I mean, it's sci-fi, but it's more on the reality kind of thing. Especially the original Clash of the Titans. But it has enough fiction in it that makes it pretty decent. I just don't like. Yeah, Joe, I'm more exactly. You hit the nail on the head. I am more like into the classic sci-fis. The Outer Limits, the
Oh, I love The Outer Limits.
I watched that one.
the Twilight Zone. You know,
Oh yeah.
that's the stuff I like. But today, when you do films, especially with the superheroes, they're killing it because every time they do a superhero film, Iron Man was a good film. You know, Wonder Woman was not too bad. But Superman, they just cannot do. The only Superman film I think, and Superman is my favorite, but the only one I think that's really worth any merit is the one with Christopher Reeves and he's the one that died in the wheelchair. The first part. The only thing that killed it is when he starts saying makes the earth spin around. I mean, the movie was phenomenal till the very end. Then it had a stupid ending.
Oh, yeah.
But we need to have, because that was a funny film. He's over in the restaurant. He's super strong, so obviously he's Superman. The people want to pick on him, but he didn't. He didn't punch somebody. But then when they made 2, 3, and 4, it gets into that stupidity. He punches a person. It goes through 3 cars.
I know what you mean.
And I just think that that's stupid. I don't understand why writers go that far. And this really gets me. It irks me when I see a writer that does a phenomenal job to then have what they call a stupid ending.
Yeah, I think you're right. That they get carried away with the CGI a little bit. There's a movie which I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with. It's The Haunting from 1999. It was a remake of the 1963 movie, but this one in 1999 they had some really cool CGI and they didn't go overboard. It was with Liam Neeson and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I didn't like that movie.
You know what? My wife didn't like it, but I tell you what, it was really cool, and they did some.
The ending.
Yeah, but they did some great CGI in there. It had a spooky story to it. You know what? If anybody's interested in a good haunting, type of movie, that's neat.
Chuck, I was gonna say movies that are good horror films that I love are like This Old House. Of course. And then and everybody was shocked. The great sci-fi film was down called The Airplane or the Flight That Got Lost.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
I mean, that's not even on DVD, but that film is phenomenal. It's great and very simplistic, and it's believable.
Yeah.
I really modern day, like Joe said, the 70s were horrendous for horror films.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just can't get into 70s horror films, and gosh, the few sci-fi films that came out in the 70s were just as bad.
Did you ever see the Gargoyle? I think was the only one, and the only reason is because of the realism in it. Even though I didn't, I'm not the only 2 films from the 70s that kind of scared me that I didn't like, and I still probably don't like today. And they're a little more like demonic. I don't like them at all. It's Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, the original one with the little creatures that want to take the lady away, says we need you, whatever. And then the other one was, oh gosh, I forgot the other one right now. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. There's not too many films that are worth anything. In fact, the 70s, even the superhero films, when I look today, and I sometimes, they gave me the Hulk, and I used to love the Hulk with Bill Bixby. I loved that. And when they gave me the first season as a gift in Christmas one day a couple of years ago, I was like, wow, was that lame, Like I said, wow. And I love the Hulk, but I just can't believe I used to like it as a kid that much.
Yeah, when you look.
As an adult, but yeah, you see I Dream of Jeannie. You see Superman with George Reeves, not Christopher Reeves, the original George Reeves from the 1950s. That's more like an adult-based thing. I don't even know why they even. Even though it's meant for kids, it has an adult theme on it. You can watch it as an adult and not think it's a kid's. Unlike Batman, Batman was like, Robin, I mean, don't forget before you cross, make sure the light is red. It had all those little things that were kind of funny in the show, but even though you can still watch the original Batman, but the original Superman is phenomenal. I Dream of Jeannie is great, but I gotta be honest with you guys. I saw Wonder Woman, and I have 1 or 2 seasons of it.
Yeah.
I go back to before Wonder Woman. There was Laura Newmar that played Catwoman in Batman and Robin.
I remember that.
There was one called My Living Doll, and that was prior. I think Jeannie came from that idea. My Living Doll, although not too many of them survived. If you ever guys have a chance on YouTube to see My Living Doll, it's funny. It's supposed to be an android, Newmar. What's her first name? Newmar?
Julie.
Yeah, right. Julie Newmar. is an android, and she's like a pretty android, and she's wandering the street, and she technically was built by NASA, right? So the guy who it's actually like a master from I Dream of Jeannie, where the master finds Jeannie. Well, he finds the thing, and she kind of escapes out of the NASA thing, and then he's got her living with him. He got to hide her. It's really funny. It's a funny show. It's well done, well thought of. And even the guy with the X-rayed eyes. I mean, look at that sci-fi movie. That's an awesome movie.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There's so many movies, and I told you guys many times. I bought a pack one time, a movie pack, and inside the movie pack there was like 50 sci-fi films, and I would spend each night on a DVD player. I would put it on top of my chest while my wife was sleeping next to me, and I would watch one or two movies a night. I'm talking about the 1940s, 50s, really cheesy. And I gotta say, Joe, the movies were done. I think people put a lot of time into the writing. They put a lot of time, even though they didn't have the budget to do a good film. They created phenomenal films with very little budgeting. And some of them look so bad, but yet the story take on it is so good you want to watch it. The 70s, I think they ran out of ideas and they just kept repeating. What I like about the 70s, though, were the mail order age. It was a time where kids, and I guess since television was kind of cheesy when it came to films, kids used to buy novelties, jokes, and tricks as a way of entertainment. And one thing I'm going to say, though, is especially the only good thing about the 70s you can't take away from is the lineup for daily television for kids, from Bugs Bunny to Hanna-Barbera, Flintstones. You cannot take that away. That was the best time of my life. Those television. But when it came to making movies, though, you know, Star Wars came out. It was great. After that, it died off for me. I couldn't watch it again. You know, everything was good, but I think films were. I don't know what happened, Joe. You're the film guy. Can you explain it?
Film guy.
The film guy. We title every time, but I think that it's like you said. You know, they started running out of ideas, and we even see that today where they're just kind of rehashing all these old movies. They're trying to remaster them, update them for modern times and all this other crap, and there's just really there's lack of imagination. You know, a lot of people out there, and
one take, Joe, one take, I'll say to you really quick what they did do today, modern day, which right now it's kind of turning back where they're running out of ideas again. But about 3 to 5 years ago, or maybe 7 years ago to the present, shows like The Blacklist with James Spader, Boston Legal, shows like there's quite a few out there. I stick to The Blacklist and stuff, but you know, like the mystery, the Oak Island Treasure in the History Channel, where they're trying to dig up that 200-year-old treasure that we saw as a kid. One thing I'm going to tell you about all that stuff, they really took the street to storm. I mean, they were excellent writing, superb, better than anything ever put out, better than film. But now they're running out of ideas again. And right now, if you see the shows that are coming out are kind of like stupid. And those are things that I got to admit that right now we're not at the movie era, because when you go to movies right now, you're like, wow, that sucked.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying the TV shows are really phenomenal, man. The Blacklist is great, but you know, at the end of it, we want to see what the ending is, because the terrible endings, we're in that era right now.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, guys, we're down to about a minute and a half here, so I'm going to wrap it up. Everybody out there in podcast land, I want to thank you for joining us, and I urge you to check out our different sites here. We have a YouTube channel. Just type in House of the Unusual, and you'll see it pop up. Eddie and Chuck are always putting out some fantastic movies, a lot of magic, a lot of Eddie's collection, Chuck's collection, all that good stuff, and you never know what kind of surprises will pop up there. So definitely check that out. We're over on Etsy and eBay. Just type in House of the Unusual. You'll find this up there. Or you can find all the links at our flagship site, houseoftheunusual.com. We have the links for YouTube, Etsy, eBay, the podcast, everything on there. Also, whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on, please subscribe. Please give us a good review, because it does help with all the algorithms and all that stuff that goes on with technology nowadays. It's like we're living in our own sci-fi future, man. But yeah, it definitely helps us all out, and we thank each and every one of you who are joining us week after week. Or if you're brand new, welcome aboard, and hope that you stick with us. And we are out here every week for you guys, so don't miss us. Subscribe to us and have some fun with us. And if you want to be a guest and talk about some cool stuff with us, drop us a line at houseoftheunusual.com. So that's all I got for today. So Eddie, Chuck, Cheri, Bill, thank you all for joining us. This has been a great conversation, and I will see you guys next time. Good night.
All right.
Good
Good night.
night.
God
God
bless, guys.
bless.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let me see if I turned it off. I don't know.
It was nice and civil, right?
Yeah, it didn't get too crazy.
I just said I do believe.